It's all about truth. All of it. Every single thing. All boils down to the truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free. All right, we are live. Welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Dan Dix. We're going to be talking about the coronavirus today and some of the outrageous solutions, I guess you could call it, some of the reactions that are coming globally at the hands of the powers that ought not to be, who are seizing this opportunity to gain a great deal of control. We're going to be talking about this idea of martial law being enacted in a various amount of countries all over the world, and if this is going to be coming to a country near you. Now, guys, we are live, so I'd ask you to share this link, let people know that we're broadcasting right now. I'm going to do the same right now. I'm going to share this on my Facebook and on my Twitter and all these controlled social media sites that are just going to censor this information anyways and probably not show it in my news feed, so you won't even know that it's happening anyways, but I'm going to do it anyways just in case it helps, and I hope you guys will do the same. Again, we got a lot to cover today, guys. For instance, we're going to be looking at, let me show you some of the stuff I have here. Unbelievable stuff that I've come across today that we're going to be covering. Things like this: the entire country of Norway is now shutting down. This is an absolutely unprecedented move. Norway is closed. PM takes drastic measures to stop coronavirus. Of course, we know that all of Italy has just expanded its quarantine to the entire country as coronavirus cases and deaths surge. Folks, we're talking about, I believe it's around 60 million people. An entire country being completely quarantined. This is absolutely unprecedented. Here in Canada, Trudeau says the government's going to warn against international travel and kind of tighten up the borders to stop the spread of COVID-19. Right now, his wife, Sophie, has tested positive for coronavirus, and they are currently self-quarantining themselves. Now, when it comes to the travel ban, we know Trump has also clamped down on travel from Europe to the U.S. due to these coronavirus fears. So nobody from Europe is allowed to enter the U.S. right now. And, I was thinking, well, at least you could just fly from Europe into Canada and then cross over the Canadian border. Well, that's looking like it might not be an option either very, very soon. Again, here in BC, we've got the province urging an end to gatherings, international travel, including to the U.S. In fact, they're not just requesting that they put an end to these large gatherings. They're in fact demanding it, where if you have anywhere upwards of 250 people, 250 people or so, that's enough to have your event banned. So this is just unbelievable, the stuff we're seeing. Of course, I don't know if you've heard about the NHL suspending its season. The basketball is having issues, but the NHL has just suspended its season. I mean, just think about how many people this is going to affect. All the businesses and restaurants and bars, and it just goes on and on. Of course, we've had a huge crash in the markets. Yesterday, the Dow took a dive of more than 10%. I believe it's the first time we've seen a loss like that since 1987. This is looking worse than the 2008 crisis. And we also saw a pretty big hit in the cryptocurrency space. Take a look at this. Let me refresh it so we get the absolute latest. Bitcoin is just hovering at around $5,000. I remember just a couple of weeks ago, it was up over $10,000. So we're talking a 50% bloodbath hit here just over the past 48 hours or so. So it's been absolutely crazy what we've been seeing in the markets. So we're going to be talking about all that and more today, guys. And we're going to be taking questions from the chat. Let me see if I can set that up into a special little window. Hang on, bear with me for one sec, guys. Let's try this. Is that working? Are you seeing the chat? Okay, it doesn't seem to be popping up, so whatever. We'll just switch back. I'll just read the chat right here. Okay, so I'm going to look through for questions as well, but then we're going to go through all of these articles that we've been pointing out today and get to the bottom of what's happening here. Hi Dan, hello. Thank you guys for tuning in. James1112 says, first comment deleted? No, I don't have, I'm not deleting anything. I'm a little too busy doing the broadcast to be deleting anybody's comments. So don't worry about that. That's probably a YouTube thing. We know they are the censors here, not Press for Truth. So beware of that. Global pandemic equals fear-mongering, says Josue Veguela. I don't know how to pronounce that, but global pandemic equals fear-mongering. Yeah, I would have to agree. There is a great deal of fear-mongering going on in regards to this particular crisis. In fact, I'm sure a lot of viewers of this channel are familiar with the term problem, reaction, solution. This is the idea that you can manipulate society, you can manipulate the mental state of an entire group of people by creating a problem, generating a problem that's going to generate a desired reaction, which you already want from the beginning. And you already have a solution to this desired reaction. And this is a solution that before this problem you created, people wouldn't have gone for it. They would have said, heck no, we don't want that, like full-on quarantines or things of that nature. Well, once you create the problem, you generate that reaction you were going for, you can offer the solution that you've had all along. But nowadays, guys, things have evolved. They don't even need the problem anymore. Now it's just reaction solution. You could say no problem reaction solution. It's not even necessary if this pandemic is real or not. Whether or not this is as bad as they're saying it is or not is irrelevant. The point is they are seizing the opportunity to clamp down on this, and I think that was the point all along. And as we're going to show today, as you'll see here, it's led to things like this. The entire country of Norway shutting down. If you think things have gotten bad in the United States, where St. Patrick's Day parades have been canceled and the NBA is suspended for the rest of the season, just wait till you hear about Norway. Starting Thursday, the small Nordic country announced measures that will be the most extensive Norway's population has ever experienced in peacetime, and which involves practically shutting down the entire country in order to slow the spread of the new coronavirus, Norwegian Minister of Health and Care Services said. Now, also, this is important to note, Norway PM takes drastic measures to stop coronavirus. Millions of Norwegians and foreigners living in or visiting Norway will be impacted by a drastic set of measures announced by Erna Solberg today. Norway is essentially shutting itself down for 2 weeks in a bid to stop the rapid spread of coronavirus and COVID-19 disease. Here's the important part. More than 700 people have been infected in Norway, a number that has drastically increased in the 48 hours, although at the time of writing, just one person has died in Norway from the disease. The country's leaders say more deaths are inevitable, but at this stage in the game, folks, only one person has died, but they're shutting down the entire country? I mean, if this doesn't seem like a bit of an overreaction, I mean, I really don't know what else to call it. I think the mainstream media is largely responsible for the panic that we're seeing, like this run on toilet paper. I mean, why can't people get upset about their taxes like this? Why can't they get upset about the bankers like this? Why can't we have, a run on the bank, or a run on the taxes, or a run on the shoddy voting system, or something like that, because the way these things work is people start to see it happening and they have the FOMO, fear of missing out. They're like, oh my God, if I don't get in on this now, I'm going to miss out. Well, I wish I'd think about that when it comes to getting out of the clutches of the government that has their bony fingered grasp around our necks and they can squeeze any time. People need to realize they are the major problem here. And look, when we have global problems, global solutions are going to be the answer at the hands of the global elite. That's all part and parcel of what we're dealing with here. And now, as I said, Italy has expanded its quarantine to the entire country as coronavirus cases and deaths surge. I will be speaking with a friend of mine who's on the inside of the red zone in Italy soon to just see what life has been like for these people on lockdown. Says here, Italy's going to expand the lockdown of Lombardy region to the entire country. Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte said Monday as Italy's case surged, making it the country with the most COVID-19 cases outside of China. People throughout the country of 60 million people, guys, should not travel other than for work or emergencies, Conte said. He added that all public gatherings will be banned and sporting events suspended. The decision was made to protect the most vulnerable people in the country, he said, and the measures will take effect Tuesday and last until April 3rd. And it's not just them who are banning events. All kinds of countries all over the world are banning events. We do have that happening in Canada, where they are suggesting that gatherings of more than 250 people is not going to be allowed moving forward. Guys, just think about this, okay? If we have something major coming up soon that people want to protest, people want to get out in the streets and rally against, you can't. Not going to be allowed to moving forward. This is really, really scary to the fundamental freedoms of Canadians moving forward. And we're heavily tied to the United States. And if this is the way things are going, I mean, what if this leads to a U.S. election being postponed because they say, well, we can't have people coming out to the voting booths licking their fingers and envelopes and things like that. We're going to have to postpone this election. It's really, really shocking, to say the least, the overreaction and response that we're seeing to this. And I hope you guys agree that it's absolutely outrageous. Now let me get back to some of the comments here. See if I can. Oh, I got to restore the chat. Okay, lots of stuff popping up. So let me try to scroll back and see if we have any questions, and then we'll get back to some of these top articles. 6 confirmed cases of CV in Wisconsin, says John. 1.25 million died last year in car accidents. We need to ban driving immediately, says John Keane. Yeah, exactly. That's the mentality. That's the rationality that we're dealing with here. And I hope people get it. Now, look, that's not to say that, being prepared is bad. I mean, obviously, it's good to stock up on storable foods, have lots of water. This is a good thing to do anyways, regardless of if there's any kind of pandemic fears or anything like that. But certainly the time to run out and have a run on toilet paper, for example, is not now. I mean, this is just completely overblown. And as I said, it's like a medical martial law that's happening right now, where they are essentially allowed to completely obliterate the rights of citizens by restricting their movement and even potentially forcefully vaccinating them. This has all been put into the documents over the last couple of decades. This just didn't come about overnight. These sorts of things have been in the works for many, many, many years. And here we are. Now we're at the point where they're starting to implement the things that they've been setting up all along. And I think they're to the point now where it's going to get to that point. You don't take the shot, well, you might end up in some sort of containment camp of a whole bunch of people who refused the shot. That's just how bad it's getting, folks. That's to the point that we are at now. All right, we're going to quickly skip back to the chat here and see if I can see any questions. Wrap yourself in plastic, says Jonah. Can't believe people are dumping their pets, says Sarah Jane. Wow, that's insane. I haven't heard about that one yet, but if it's gotten to the point where you're ditching loved ones, yeah, this is an overblown panic on the pandemic. I put out a video titled "The Panic is the Pandemic." What you need to know, or something like that. Just use the search feature on my YouTube channel and look up "The Panic is the Pandemic," and you'll see we get into greater detail in there how this is completely overblown. And again, like I said, to the point now with entire countries being quarantined. I mean, look, the Italian government is pretty corrupt on its own, okay? And let's not forget, like this is where the Vatican resides. I mean, the fact that we know that they have bonds on various real estate around the world, and we got the stock market crashing right now. Basically, I think there's a lot of money to be made potentially in a pandemic like this. And when you have corrupt governments like Italy and others using this as an excuse to clamp down on their people, you can see that was this a part of the plan all along? I mean, to bring people to this point, it seems like that may be the case. And as I said, it doesn't matter if this thing is real or not, if the numbers are what they're saying they are or not, if as many people are dying as they say they are or not. That's besides the point, guys. The fact is, as we are here today, they are responding in a very, very scary way. In fact, I think we're to the point now where we've come to a coronavirus world where there's not going to be a time where it just goes away, where it's going to be like, pre-corona and post-corona. It's just going to be, it's here now, and I hope to God that's not the case, but I think this is something we're going to be dealing with for quite some time, and the governments are going to utilize this to continue to strip away people's fundamental rights, which I think is one of the most shocking things coming of this. And I think it is largely at the hands of the coverage of the mainstream media. I mean, you can flip around. I don't have a TV, but every now and then I check in online to see what they're saying, and it's absolute fear mongering. Absolutely, when they're not really kind of properly looking at the numbers. Now, that's not to say that this thing is potentially affecting a lot of people. Obviously, it appears this new mutation of the coronavirus, which is something that's been around for a long time, does have the ability to spread fast. It is killing people, but is it doing as much as they say it is? Is it doing more? I mean, it's really tough to say in this current climate. The mainstream media has really muddied the waters, but what I do know is that they're jumping on this opportunity, whether it was designed and released by them or not. They are seizing the opportunity to gain absolute total control, to be able to institute things like martial law, to be able to strip away your rights, to quarantine innocent civilians. And as it says in the Norway article, if we can, we'll jump back to that for a second, and I'll show you that they say that it's not even Norwegians. It's anybody who comes to the country, even if you don't have symptoms. Let me see if I can find where it said that. Here it is. Additionally, everyone entering Norway from anywhere other than any other Nordic country will be required to be home quarantined regardless of symptoms. One of the most drastic measures taken in Europe so far, regardless of symptoms, guys. No matter who you are, if you come into Norway in the next few days, you're not going to be allowed outside. And again, let's reiterate that as of the releasing of that article yesterday, only one person has died in Norway. Only one person of the 700 people who are affected has died, yet they have completely halted the economy. They have completely shut down the entire country. And of course, this is going to have global ramifications. I mean, we're already seeing the global impact of this on the S&P 500, on the Dow, on the cryptocurrency space, on the markets are just tanking. But look, when the Dow drops 10% for the first time in over 30 years, we're talking trillions of dollars, guys. It didn't just disappear. We got to remember that. This money simply transferred hands, okay? It didn't just disappear. Same with the, the crypto space. Look at these numbers. Let me refresh it. As of, we're almost about to go below 5,000 on Bitcoin, when I remember just back on February 12th, it was at 10,400. It's dropped over 50%. This is an absolute bloodbath that's happening. But I think the panic selling is It's something people need to really chill out about. This is actually something I'm not overly surprised about. I knew that if the Dow crashes, if stocks tumble, if oil goes down, there are a lot of investors in the crypto space who don't think like viewers of this channel do and like I do. They're in it for other reasons. They're not long-time hodlers. They're just quick money guys. So they're panicking and they're getting out. And I think that's why we've seen a 50% drop in the market. But having said that, guys, it really is a good time to buy if you are interested in that space. Technically, it is a good time to buy. When blood is in the streets, when you got people panic selling like this, you really ought to gobble it up. So if you do have the means to do so, it's not a bad idea to check out grabbing some Bitcoin right now. All right, we got 748 people tuned in right now, but I'm not sure how many thumbs up we have. I bet you it's disproportionate to the amount of people who are watching. So please, guys, at this stage in the game, click the thumbs up button, share this video, let people know we are live. God knows that this channel is heavily shadow banned. They are using their algorithms to stop this type of information from being seen. All of my coronavirus videos coverage have this World Health Organization official link where you can go beneath all my videos, where you can go and learn all about the facts of the coronavirus, because they are suggesting that I'm promoting fake news. Yeah, it's just unreal. And again, what we're seeing right now is coming at the hands of the mainstream, which is why I felt it important to bring you this information, which is why I hope you'll share the information and support our efforts here to bring you this information. When I used to do these live streams, I'd get super chats popping up, and I'd have all these obvious questions because people would send me 10, 20 bucks, $5 here and there, and super chats with questions. And YouTube has completely demonetized this channel, 100% demonetized this channel. So that's not an option anymore. You can't chip in a buck or two here and there. Not through YouTube anyways. And you know what? That's probably a good thing. Let Google keep their dirty money, and let's do this just between you and me. So if you do want to support this channel, there are links in the description to where you can donate, where you can become a patron. You can join me on Subscribestar. You can donate cryptocurrencies. You go to pressfortruth.ca/donate, and you'll find out how to contribute if you do appreciate my efforts to bring you this information. All right, I'm going to go back to the chat here. Let me scroll back and see if we got any. Oops. There we go. Scroll back and see if we have any questions coming in from the chat. I love to interact with you guys. It's one of my favorite parts of doing these live streams, is to get some really solid questions and conversations going with you guys. Jonah Curry says, I tried to buy Bitcoin, not available at the moment. Well, I suppose it depends on what exchange you're trying to purchase on. Sometimes it's best just to go through direct, straight to another person, wallet to wallet kind of thing. Terry asks, is Texas under martial law? Not technically, but we do know that they just canceled South by Southwest. This is a huge music festival, I guess you could call it. Hundreds of bands, maybe even thousands are involved. A whole bunch of businesses are involved, and that thing has just been canceled. I think maybe for the first time. Don't quote me on that, but that is absolutely major. And I would be surprised if they instituted martial law in Texas in particular, simply because of the fact that they are armed to the teeth, which is why it's important, for the Second Amendment to exist. Because look, that's why it existed in the first place. When tyrannical governments are going to come knocking on your door and saying, look, we have to do this on behalf of the better, of the better good, whether you'd like it or not. The only way people can protect themselves against that is to be armed. I mean, that's why the U.S. founding fathers put the Second Amendment in there, and Texans have really taken that to heart. So I think they may have a bit of a problem instituting martial law in Texas. So no, I don't think that is the case right now. All right, let me scroll back, see what other questions we have. Tom Hilton says Tom Hanks isn't even sick anymore. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Tom Hanks, Justin Trudeau's wife. There's a few other kind of famous people. There's that basketball player who just tried to prank his team by touching all the microphones in a press conference. Did you hear about that? And this guy didn't know that he was actually had contracted the virus. So yeah, that joke kind of backfired. Charles says it's a friggin' common cold. I mean, it is the regular flu is killing more people clearly than the current COVID-19 is, which goes to say a lot about this current panic. I mean, it doesn't make any sense unless you realize it's coming at the hands of this fear-mongering campaign that's coming from the mainstream media, which is why I'm here to try to counter this. Again, that's not to say you shouldn't be prepared. Of course you need to wash your hands all the time. Of course it's good to use hand sanitizers. Of course, prepping is okay. Having storable foods, emergency gear, lots of water on hand. These are all good things. These are things I've been suggesting people do for years anyways. This is something you should do anyways. But don't run out and do it because you're panicking about the coronavirus, okay? This is just something you should be proactively thinking about all the time. All right, let's get back. Black Cats Matter sounds like Black Cats Matter. Funny name. Sounds like you need to do more research about the Wet'suwet'en. Oh, he's speaking to somebody else. Okay, I didn't see the conversation, but anyways, speaking of the Wet'suwet'en protests, isn't that interesting? Not allowed to do that anymore. If they have 250 or so more protesters show up at one of these pipelines, or anywhere for that matter, it can be shut down because of COVID-19. Look at all the other protests and civil unrest over the world that has been disrupted because of this. Look at Hong Kong. Do you guys remember the massive protests taking place in the streets in Hong Kong, China? Poof, that's gone. Thank you, COVID-19. Look at the fight back in Europe. I mean, people have been pushing it back against the IMF, the BIS, and all that has been kind of halted. What happened to the Yellow Vest movement? What happened to the Hong Kong protesters? What happened to the Wet'suwet'en protests? Not only have these been shut down, but now they're instituting basically laws to say that, look, now if you want to do it, you can't. You can't because of COVID-19. It's just absolutely ridiculous, guys. All right. Let me see if we got any other questions. I see a lot of comments. Thank you so much for all the comments. But if you do have any questions, please get them in. Okay, I see a question mark and a big chunk, so let's just read it. Crashing the economy, implementing new regimes, cashless society, a form of ID required to travel, quell the uprising and worldwide awakening to our true reality, a stationary and level plane. Your thoughts, says Go Vegan Earth a Plane. Yes, crashing the economy is a big part of the global response to this global problem. Implementing new regimes is another one. Well put. I mean, are we going to start seeing UN troops coming onto the streets of these various quarantined, shut down places? I wouldn't be surprised. Cashless society, you added. Absolutely, we're moving in that direction. And just think about, the fact that they're going to say how many germs are on cash and how it's, safer to not be using paper money. That of course is coming. You say a form of ID required to travel. We already essentially have that, but this clearly gives them the excuse to be able to clamp down on our rights even further when it comes to travel. Quell the uprising of worldwide awakening to the true reality. Yes, that's what we were talking about just now with these global protests being essentially shut down because nobody's allowed to gather, especially, well, here in British Columbia and Alberta, Canada anyways, nobody with more than 250 people are allowed to gather anymore. I mean, what's this going to mean moving forward for larger events? Like, let's say the U.S. election. I mean, are they going to postpone that because people are showing up to the voting booths sick? I mean, how far is this going? Where is this going to lead? Well, one thing I know for sure, guys, is the global elite are the ones who are benefiting from this. And as I said, whether or not this is released from the lab, generated and accidentally released or released on purpose is kind of besides the point at this point. We're seeing the solution to this reaction, to this problem. And as I said earlier, we're now at the stage in the game where it's no problem, reaction, solution. All they need is the reaction, and they're clearly getting that. Just look at the run on toilet paper. So now the solutions, of course, are to strip away your rights. These are things people wouldn't have gone for before this. You know, could you imagine if they wanted to, stop basketball, stop hockey, shut down entire countries, quarantine people against their will, even if they're not sick? People would say, heck no, this is a massive violation of our rights. But if you have the propaganda spin machine pumping out this fear through the mainstream media, people are going to get that desired reaction, and their idea of solutions are going to change, and they're going to begin to accept whatever those solutions may be. Yes, I know martial law is bad. I know we shouldn't really be giving up our rights to clamp down, but you saw the news, right? Look at the people who are dying. I don't want to get sick. I don't want my family to get sick. Please, government, do what you need to do to fix this problem for me. That's the problem, guys. We need to stop looking to the government to do anything, especially when it comes to dealing with our health. Let's face it, the best thing they are good at doing is killing people. The government is responsible for more deaths than any other thing combined in the 20th century. And these are the people we're putting in charge of handling this pandemic. No, we need to look out for ourselves in this situation, guys. Being prepared is important, but not overly reacting is also important. So I would suggest you just turn off your TV entirely. I mean, just shut the brainwashing off completely and continue to turn into alternative sources of information like Press for Truth, where, you know, we're not pumping that fear state on you. We're explaining that, yes, there's a slight cause for concern. I mean, this is clearly killing people, and it is an infectious disease that has the ability to spread quickly, but that doesn't mean we should be falling into these traps that have been laid out to us by these people who have been pulling the strings all along. And as I said, over the last few decades, preparing the documents, preparing us, essentially conditioning society to be ready to handle such a thing. Even, these Hollywood movies like Contagion and Outbreak, this is conditioning society so that when these things do happen, it's not like it's what the heck is this? This is the first time I've seen that. It's like, no, I get it. This is something they need to do to protect us. Meanwhile, it's all a ruse, guys. It's all being about getting more control over the global society, the global population, everyone in the world, and they have to provide excuses to do so. That's why we at the beginning of this broadcast talked about their modus operandi of utilizing problem, reaction, solution. Whereas I said now it's to the point where it's no problem, reaction, solution. The pandemic doesn't even need to have happened. As long as they generate the reaction that they're getting, they're good, and they can offer the global solution, which, as we know, is not good for anybody. Let's get back to some of the crazy mainstream news. Trudeau says government's going to warn against international travel, tighten up borders. Trudeau says the federal government's going to warn Canadians against all international travel. He's considering tightening up the border to some international travelers. During an interview with Radio Canada's Montreal Friday, Trudeau said that the government is not closing the door to any idea. He's assessing the situation on a day-to-day basis. But then a journalist asked him flat out if the government is going to close the Canadian border. What did he say? We're in the midst of looking at this. We are in the midst of evaluating day-to-day what to do, he said. As you've seen, these are recommendations not to travel outside of Canada. We're in the midst of coordinating with the Americans, obviously, on our borders, on our actions. We'll continue to evaluate what we do and how we can keep Canadians in security, and we won't close the door on any idea. Yeah, I bet you won't. You remember when that journalist famously confronted your father about enacting martial law, and what did he say? Just watch me. Just watch me, he said. Just wait and see, or something like that. If you guys are not familiar with that clip, go look up Pierre Elliott Trudeau martial law, or Pierre Trudeau just watch me. And it was a very candid response to a journalist who engaged in kind of some guerrilla journalism. He kind of ambushed a question on him and put him in the position of saying, would you instill martial law on the Canadian people? This is Justin Trudeau's dad when he was the prime minister of the country. And what did he say jokingly? He was like, just watch me. It was like a threat. And now his son is in charge of the country. This feminist, trans rights activist, drama teacher douchebag is now in charge of the country. And we know his dad wanted martial law. Now we have the excuse to be able to instill it. We see it happening in other countries. We see Italy on complete quarantine. We see Norway completely being shut down. We see travel restrictions to the United States. Canada is starting to get in on the mix now too. We've got Alberta and British Columbia now banning any gathering with more than 250 people. Guys, I think, as I said, we're at a point now where it's like a pre-coronavirus world and a post-coronavirus world. We'll look back on this in quite some time and say, remember where you were when that happened and what side of the fence were you on? All right, let's get back to this for a sec. Federal Minister of Health officials are providing an update on Canada's response at 11:30. Oh, maybe we can tune into that live. During the news conference, ministers announced a series of new measures to limit the spread. Oh, wait, that already happened. Okay. International flights are only going to be permitted to land at smaller numbers of airports, though those locations have not been announced. A ban on boats and cruise ships carrying more than 500 people from docking at Canadian ports is banned until July. A recommendation that all travelers arriving to Canada from international points self-isolate for 14 days. Again, it's unprecedented. We have Trump clamping down on travel from Europe to the U.S. President Donald Trump announced Wednesday his administration is significantly reducing travel from Europe to the U.S. over the spread of the novel coronavirus. And again, just think of what this is going to do financially. Think of what this is going to do to people's pockets. It's just crazy. Coronavirus, BC urges an end to large gatherings and international travel. British Columbia's top doctor has urged residents to avoid all non-essential international travel, including to the United States, amid the novel coronavirus pandemic. I think it's really important. It's clear at this time that the evolving situation, both in the United States and globally, is a risk to us all, and we are strongly advising people not to travel, Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry at a news conference said on Thursday in Victoria. So, again, we're at the point now where, for example, BC's 420 event was just canceled. This is one of British Columbia's biggest events, April 20th, 420, thousands and thousands of people, hundreds, if not thousands of vendors, so many businesses involved. We're talking millions and millions of dollars that are generated and revenue that is brought to Vancouver every year because of, just the amount of people who celebrate on that day. Gone. Poof, gone. Again, just look at the NHL being shut down and what that's going to do to all the businesses, all the various bars and restaurants are going to take a huge hit. The NHL announced Thursday afternoon that the 2019-2020 season has been suspended in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The move to pause the NHL season came after the NBA announced the same measure Wednesday night, following the revelation a member of the Utah Jazz had tested positive for the novel coronavirus. Again, one guy on a basketball team tests positive, and they suspend the entire league. The NHL hears about that, and they think they ought to do the same. And then in Norway, they have 700 cases, and as of, I think, yesterday, one person has died, yet they are going to completely shut down the entire country. Norway closed. PM takes drastic measures to stop coronavirus. All schools Kindergartens and universities are to close. Most public events are banned. Bars and restaurants will be closed. Guys, this is so unprecedented. It's just insane that we've come to this level. Most relevant to readers of life in Norway is perhaps the most dramatic measure of all. Anyone who has traveled outside the Nordic countries since February 27th should be home quarantined for 14 days. Supermarkets and pharmacies will remain open. Well, I suppose that makes sense. Solberg admitted that the measures are very drastic and that Norway will go at a very slow pace over the next 14 days. It is extremely important that people follow this advice. To be able to curb this, we need everyone to come together. I mean, is 14 days really essentially going to cut it anyways? I mean, as far as I understand it, this disease has the ability to survive for up to 6 weeks without living on a host, without being attached to anything. It could just be on a surface for up to 6 weeks, and that in itself is unprecedented. I mean, that makes me lean towards thinking this is engineered in a lab, that this is more of a man-made thing. Just the fact that it can survive for so long is pretty shocking. All right, I'm going to go back to your comments here, guys, and see if we have any questions. I see we have 721 people tuning in right now. If you have not yet clicked that thumbs up button, guys, please don't forget to do that. Share this video right now. Get it out there. Let people know we're live. And if you do support this channel and the efforts of this channel, please consider making a donation. We've been completely demonetized. You can't contribute the super chats, for example, as you'll notice. But I've managed to combat that by setting up a subscribestar.com/pressfortruth, a patreon.com/pressfortruth. I have the Patreon alternative at pressfortruth.ca/donate. So if you do appreciate my efforts to bring you this information, guys, please check the links in the description to find out how you can join me as a member, a patron, a Subscribestar member, or donate through Bitcoin or PayPal or any other way that I have there on pressfortruth.ca/donate. It'd be greatly appreciated. All right, I'm going to swing on back here to the chat. Chris asks, is Trudeau going to die? He is. Question is when. I don't necessarily think he will at the hands of the so-called COVID outbreak. But yeah, he will eventually. I mean, we all will. But no, I don't think we have to worry or get too excited about that anytime soon. Click that thumbs up, says MP. Yes, please do. Everyone, click that thumbs up right now. Share the video. Somebody just said that it just skipped by. I'll see if I can find it again. Said it's engineered by Bill Gates. Oh, here it is. The coronavirus is engineered by Bill Gates and his minions, says Organic Mechanic. Yeah, that's something that I've been tracking as well. I put out a video on that like a month ago or so. The fact that this eugenicist, Bill Gates, a man who clearly wants to reduce the population of the world, is funding all of these various vaccine companies, these companies who are involved in the race for who's going to develop the vaccine. And I started looking into some of their stocks, and you look at companies like Inovio, whose stocks went through the roof, and they are funded by Bill Gates. So I started thinking, maybe they're the one who's going to get the ticket, you know, the big contract here. And again, there's a lot of money to be made here. So I would have to agree. I would not be surprised whatsoever if this was an engineered bioweapon with Bill Gates being involved. Certainly that's not out of the realms of possibility. Thank you for the comment. How can every country have testing kits for a new virus, says Ian? That's a good question. And really, how well do these testing kits work? And how good can we trust them? Honestly, if I rolled up to let's say a quarantine zone or a stop in my vehicle, and there's some military dudes standing outside saying, we demand a mouth swab from you right now, I'm not going to give it to them. And in fact, if I'm forced to give it to them and they say that, well, we just see on the spot right now that you're testing for positive for coronavirus and you need to be quarantined, Well, I'm not going to trust that test. I mean, who should? Like you said, it's come out very, very quickly. All these countries are already having the testing abilities. How much can we trust that? I certainly don't. All right, see if we got any other questions coming in. Thumbs up, folks, says Jacko21. I agree. Please get those thumbs up. Click that button. Deborah says, I believe Bill Gates and Soros and Trudeau planned this Agenda 21 coronavirus viral weapon together to unleash on the people. Again, the facts are starting to lead into that direction. It's more and more as we start to learn about this, looking like this was something that was engineered in a lab and either released by accident or released on purpose. I mean, we just had a minister in China openly suggesting that this was created by the United States and released on purpose by those bad actors in the US. This is a major Chinese minister who just tweeted this just the other day. So it's not, I mean, it borders on the line of conspiracy theory, I guess you could say. We have Chinese officials chiming in on this at this point. And as we know through our research, we've seen when they've been studying the coronavirus here in Canada. I think it was back in 2015 or something in Calgary or Winnipeg or something like that, where these Chinese spies allegedly stole the coronavirus from that lab and brought it to Wuhan. We're well aware of these things, and this is all quite very really possible. In fact, in my interview with Del Bigtree, we discussed the possibility of experimental vaccines currently being used in China. I remember you seeing these videos of people just falling flat on their face and just hemorrhaging out of nowhere and splatting blood everywhere, and it was just like, what the heck's going on? And Del Bigtree speculated that they're already experimenting with vaccines there, and I would not be surprised if that's the case as well. If you haven't seen that interview, guys, go check it out. Really good interview with Del Bigtree. Of course, he's the producer and director behind Vaxxed, the film exposing the dangers inherent in the vaccine industry and in taking vaccines. And we got into a great conversation about the coronavirus and the potential use of vaccines on the population moving forward. Really important stuff to understand. Chef Josh says, what if you have to get vaccinated to go to stores, hospitals, schools? You think they won't? You all think you won't beg for it? That's a good point. When people are forced with making the decision, do I take the shot or do I not have food put on my table for my family? People might have to make that drastic decision. That's the point it's getting to. Just look at what's happening to people in Italy right now. I mean, it's a eerie, quiet ghost town over there right now. It's scary what they can do to crumble an entire society. Look at the stock market. Look at what's happening to the economy right now. It's completely crashing. Cryptos are down. Stocks are down. Dow down 10%, most since 1987. I mean, this does feel worse than the crash in 2008. In fact, we're starting, when you look at the grand scheme of things, the S&P 500, the Dow, oil, crypto, you kind of step back and really take a look at on the macro here. You see that this is tantamount to what 1939 was like. The stock market crash in the 30s. I mean, we're almost back to that point. And again, that was engineered. Booms and busts are always engineered, and this one's no different. As I said earlier in the broadcast, guys, 10% on the Dow, we're talking trillions of dollars, and that money didn't just disappear. It simply transferred hands, and it's scary to think what could potentially come of this in the very near future, considering what we're seeing today. All right, let me scroll on back, see what else we got. Dog Tag Central says, you're the man, Dan. Are you personally scared of being infected? I'm not. I'm not at all, you know. I haven't changed my day-to-day life in any way whatsoever. I am carrying out and going about my day just as I did this time last year. This is not something, as I said, because I feel the panic is overblown. And again, I mean, that's not to say it's not a bad idea to be prepared for things. You should always be prepared for things, anyways. But no, I'm not at the point right now where I'm running out and stocking up on toilet paper or wearing face masks or limiting the things that I do or the places that I go. For me, anyways, no, not at all. I'm just simply not there yet because the numbers just don't quite add up. If I was just taking it from the mainstream media, yeah, I'd probably be, you know, locked down in a, you know, in a hazmat suit right now, in the fetal position, sitting there sucking my thumb. But you know what? I don't watch the news. So thankfully, I'm not affected by all this stupid nonsense. Again, not to say you shouldn't be prepared. Okay, see if we got any more questions coming in from you guys. I love hanging out with you guys. It is always fun. ESP Power 117 says vitamin C. Yeah, I think they're trying to suppress that information right now, that vitamin C has the power to fight this infection, has the power to quell this disease and to essentially cure you of the disease. Huge shots of vitamin C. Guys, if you can get vitamin C on concentrate, that's not a bad thing to stock up on. If you are going to think about preparing for something, get yourself plenty of vitamin C. Definitely not a bad idea. Thanks for that comment. Let's see. How come Antarctica looks so huge on the map behind you? I'm not sure. That is a scratch off map that my wife got me for all the places I visited. You scratch off where you go, but I'm not sure. Part-time friend says acupuncture helps. I heard. That's interesting. You know, I would certainly want to look to alternative methods, all natural methods, certainly, if I personally was having to deal with this. And I think, honestly, if I felt like I had flu-like symptoms right now, yeah, I'd be hammering myself with the vitamin C, getting plenty of water, probably self-isolating, but we're just simply not there, so it's not a concern for me right now. Colloidal silver, a 2 is paramount, says the Fanch. Yeah, I have heard that is beneficial, and I'm sure it is. Again, these are things that are good to be taken anyways, not necessarily just because of the so-called pandemic. Light Green Leaf says, have you looked into chloroquine phosphate? No, I haven't. I'm not really familiar with that, but if you want to shoot some links in the chat, maybe we can check that out while we're here live. Do you really think Sophie has it, or is this an excuse to protect the turd's family while we get sick and die? That's a great question. I certainly questioned the validity of this when I saw, for me, I just happened to come across Sophie and Tom Hanks, and there was a U.S. politician, maybe Pence? No, not Pence, but it was somebody equally as important or authoritative as him, who have contracted the disease. And I remember thinking, that's interesting. Those are all very, very famous people who all at the same time allegedly have this thing. Is this all part of, carrying on and presenting the fear of this? Is Tom Hanks being paid or what? It's really, you really don't know what to believe at this stage in the game, guys, when it comes to the mainstream Hollywood, mainstream media, government institutions like the World Health Organization. I mean, you got to take it all with a grain of salt. Light Green Leaf says, I'll put in the comments below. Thank you for that. Ted Cruz, yes, Cuba bound. Thank you. I forgot. It was Ted Cruz. Yeah, so I heard at the same time Trudeau's wife, Tom Hanks' wife and him, Ted Cruz. And I just remember seeing all those things within, a couple of minutes thinking, I wonder if these people really, really have it or not. Not to say that they don't. I really don't know. But it does seem odd to me at this stage in the game. All right. 600 people tuned in. I hope we have at least 600 thumbs up at this point, guys. We did have 700 and something people tuning in at one point, so we technically should have over 700 thumbs up. I know y'all don't absolutely love the stuff I do all the time and not going to just click up for nothing, but if you do appreciate this broadcast today, please click that thumbs up button, share the video, leave a comment. It really does help with the algorithms. And again, let me know if you have any questions in the chat. I know new things are popping up all the time. Left, right, and center, there's new information coming out about this. Every time I check Twitter or, look at the news, there's something new that's just outrageous, like what we saw today with this, Norway being canceled. If you're just tuning in now, guys, the entire country of Norway is shutting down, as this article goes into. In addition to kindergartens, childcare facilities, schools, and universities are all closing nationwide. And there's a ban on both professional and amateur sports. Just oh my God, just think about what this is going to do to Norway's economy and the global economy. All these things are going to permeate throughout society like a ripple effect. This is just the beginning, guys. It's getting crazy. Measures that have only been taken regionally so far in the US, the entire country of Norway is also requiring, look at this, all hairdressers, massage clinics, gyms, and tattoo parlors to close. So if you happen to be involved in that particular industry, too bad for you, pal. No more income for you. Guys, if this can happen in Norway, if this can happen in Italy, to these, first world countries, it can happen here. And we're already seeing a kind of move in that direction. They're suggesting that you don't travel anymore, and they also want to block upwards of 250 people being able to gather at any one given time. Again, that's going to stop the protesters, the pipeline protests, the Yellow Vests movement. We've already seen the protest movements in other areas of the world being shut down, like in China, like Hong Kong, for example. Whatever happened to that? Boom, COVID-19 just erased it, like as if it never even happened. Look at the Yellow Vest movement in Europe. All these things have kind of come to a halt, essentially, all because of this. And again, the important point today to take home, as the title suggests, is that martial law is the end game. They're trying to clamp down on society to an extent where they wouldn't have gone for it before. So an excuse is needed. And as I said, whether or not this is actually generated in a lab or this is just organic, this is actually a natural disease that just happened to have morphed into this crazy COVID-19 breed, that may be the case too. But regardless, it's besides the point. The point is now, at the point we are here today, the governments are overreacting and they're stripping away our abilities to move freely and to be able to operate as free human beings. I mean, it's just absolutely insane what they've managed to pull over on people here. Again, Trump stopping all of travel from Europe into the U.S., coronavirus, BC urges large gatherings, international travel to be stopped, the NHL suspending hockey just because, essentially because the NBA did as well. All the markets are tanking. Look at crypto today. Let's just take a quick refresh of Bitcoin, down 15% just in the last 24 hours. Again, we're seeing the global effects of this rippling all across the world, and I think this is just the beginning. I hate to say it, guys, but we are currently at an interesting fork in the road with this whole COVID-19 pandemic thing, that it can go a number of ways here. And one of the ways that the government is trying to steer it into is more power for them, more control for them, potentially even bigger agendas like the implementation of a global currency, a global order, a one world government. These are the things that have been on the table for not just decades, guys, centuries. And we've always known that they use situations like this to achieve that agenda, whether it's generated on purpose or it springs about by accident. They pounce on the opportunity to capitalize, and that's what we're seeing today. And I hate to say it, but I think it's only going to get worse before it gets better. All right, my chat is just flying by here because I haven't been there in a while, so hang on one second. TM Fowl says, beware 5G. Yes, good thing to be aware of, but I don't think it has anything to do with COVID. I know a lot of people are making that connection. I've looked into it. I'm not really seeing it myself, though. Let's see if we got any more questions. All right, a lot of comments, but no real questions. We may call it for the day, guys, if we don't get too much more. Jacka Furland says, our government's overreacting or just trying to lower the death toll? Again, if you take it from the mainstream, I mean, you can click from channel to channel and get conflicting reports left, right, and center. I mean, 1 second, some news pundit is saying, the sky is falling, everything is everyone's going to die, you flip the channel and the next guy is saying this is a completely overblown, there's nothing to see here, folks, just relax and stop panicking. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, to be honest. Look, this appears to be a fast-spreading infectious disease. However, I think the overblown reaction by governments is insane. I think what we're seeing with the restrictions of people's abilities to move in and out of different countries is getting really crazy. When you have Italy, 60 million people on quarantine, I think that's taken it too far, especially when you look at the numbers in Norway, for example. 700 people have contracted the disease and only one person has died. And they use that to shut down the entire country. Something's obviously out of whack here, guys. Something is completely out of whack. They're taking us for a ride here on this thing. As I said, if it is as serious as they say it is, well, that's something we need to think about. But at this stage in the game, they're using it to clamp down on our rights, and it's absolutely disgusting. All right, guys, I think we may call it for the day. Let me see if we have any last-minute questions here. Light Green Leaf says, do you have an email address? Yes, you can email me at dan@pressfortruth.ca, dan@pressfortruth.ca. That is also where you can send an e-transfer if you happen to be interested in financially supporting the efforts of this channel. As I said, we've been completely demonetized. I used to have super chats popping up right now, but I don't have that anymore because Google eliminated my ability to be able to generate any kind of revenue off of this platform because they don't like the information I'm bringing to this platform, so they've demonetized me. But I'm okay with that. Google can keep their dirty money. I would much rather be beholden to you, the audience, directly. So if you do appreciate my efforts, I would ask that you check the links in the description. There you can find out how you can donate one time with PayPal. You can join as a member at pressfortruth.ca. You can become a patron. If you are, patrons of other people and you're not yet a patron of PFT, please check my Patreon link in the link below. If you don't like Patreon, we also have Subscribestar. Subscribestar.com/pressfortruth is another a great site that is a little more censorship resistant and not likely to kick me off of their platform. If you want to contribute Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, you can do that too. You can do that at pressfortruth.ca/donate. I really, really appreciate anybody's support moving forward because I'm not about to slow down. I'm continuing to cover these things. I don't know if you've seen my videos from the last couple of days, guys. I'm potentially facing some very serious issues with the past couple of videos I've done. If you're not sure, just take a look. It's in regards to the BC father who is facing criminal contempt charges because of doing interviews. I'll just leave it at that. I think you know where I'm going with that. But if you haven't seen them yet, check those videos out because they're really, really, really important to see. And as I continue to do more of that kind of coverage, they're going to continue to try to clamp down on this channel. So if you are not aware, guys, I am on a lot of other alternative platforms like BitChute and Minds and PocketNet and Float, FLOTE.app. Check the links in the description to this video for all these alternative platforms that I'm on. Because look, the day is coming where they're going to flip the switch and they're just going to cut me off here on YouTube. And you guys are going to tune in and you're going to say, I haven't seen a video from Press for Truth in a while. I wonder what's going to go, where he's been. And you're going to look me up and the channel's just going to say, it's gone. This is being removed. And you're going to think, oh, wow, that's too bad. I wish I could tune in to his daily content still. Well, guess what? You can. Once they flip the switch and get rid of me on this platform, I'm still going to be producing daily videos, just not here. I'll be on other platforms like float.app, FLOTE.app, and steemit.com, and BitChute, and Minds. There's a whole lot of really great alternative, decentralized, censorship-resistant platforms that are popping up left, right, and center. I'm starting to join all of them. I really suggest that you guys do the same as a hedge against this coming censorship. You want to hedge yourself against the pandemic by storing up paper towel and Lysol and Purell and whatever you need. That's your that's your prerogative. But I would suggest you hedge yourself against censorship by joining these alternative platforms like BitChute, Minds, Float. All the links are located in the description below, guys. Please join me there because, yeah, as I continue to bring you this type of information, you're going to find out that YouTube is going to clamp down on this channel more and more and more. So I think that's it for today, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. Ryan Hall asks, is Canada going to implement martial law? Well, we're certainly moving in that direction. If you look back, we got into that a little bit earlier in this video where, yes, it seems that it's heading in that direction. When first world countries like Norway and Italy can do this, Canada is not that far off from doing the same. We see that the U.S., who is directly tied to us because of our border, has restricted travel from Europe to the U.S., and now Canadians are talking about closing down the border. Well, that really stops people's ability to get from Europe to the U.S. to Canada and vice versa. So we're going to feel a ripple effect of this all across the globe. And let's remember Pierre Elliott Trudeau being confronted about instituting martial law when he famously said, "Just watch me." Now we're dealing with his son. And I would love to ask him the same question, because I bet you the young Trudeau is just clamoring and just drooling over the opportunity to gain that much control over this country because it's starting to slip from his grips. So it's certainly not off the table. Thanks for the question. Jerry Kirkpatrick says, conspiracy theory idiot. Thank you for the comment. I'm not sure if that's directed at me, but if it is, well, I mean, hey, everyone's entitled to their opinion. You just go ahead and tune back into the TV if you don't like this information. All right, guys, I think we'll call it at that. We've been going for over an hour. Thank you once again so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate the support of you, the viewers. I would not be doing what I do if it wasn't for you guys. I want to thank you so much for being loyal subscribers. If you've been on this channel for a long time, I get people contacting me all the time who've said they've been watching for, 13, 14 years, and that's incredible. So thank you for everybody who's been loyal, sticking with me throughout this crazy journey and ride I've been on. So thank you so much. Yeah, I guess that's it. I almost don't want to hang up. I feel like you guys are it's like a young relationship with the girlfriend. It's like, no, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. Okay, I guess I'll hang up. Love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. Please share this video when it rebroadcasts. When the rebroadcast is up, share this link. Get it out with your friends and family. And again, check the links in the description to find out how you can support the efforts of this channel by either donating or joining as a member at pressfortruth.ca/donate. You can join as a member there. You can join as a patron. You can join as a Patreon alternative. You can join as a Subscribe Star. There's a number of ways to financially contribute and to get involved with what I'm doing and trying to achieve here. So that if that's something you're interested in, guys, please check the links in the description. Other than that, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We'll see you soon. Take care.